There's my feet. I see my feet. Look, there's my feet. And my pajamas. And my new favorite shirt. Well, that's not what I'm here about tonight. We're going to do something a little different. Instead of the Gag Master Challenge. Oh, look at that. Nope. It always goes to the same spot. Gravity is such a powerful force. Anyway, tonight we're going to try something a little bit different. And that is, I'm going to design a bookmark for Gag Master cartoons with the help from my wonderful assistant and full-time saboteur, Gemma. Gemma, where are you? I know she's around here somewhere. Oh, speak of the devil. You're such a devil. Okay, I already sharpened that one. I want my blue pencil back, man. Where's the blue? One thing I like, okay, so I like a steep angle on my drawing board. And this is why it is beneficial, instead of having this kind of pencil, to have this kind of pencil. See the difference, folks? Do you see the difference? See the difference? Talking about gravity, these things, they don't obey the laws. Newton would be pooping his pants if he met these pencils. Newton wasn't a carpenter. Jesus was a carpenter, and he'd be like, dude, this is what I'm talking about. Get yourself a carpenter pencil. It walks on water, man. But I really want my blue pencil. Okay. So I'm going to do a couple of these bookmarks. The idea is, if I have some Gag Master bookmarks made, I can pass them out to comic book shops and local bookstores as freebies. Every time they sell a book or a graphic novel, just give away a Gag Master bookmark. So there'll be like a QR code and whatnot. But I'm just going to wing it, really. I don't have anything in mind except the dimensions. So the bookmarks I've been looking at designing are 2 inches by 9 inches. That's the actual size. So I'm going to do twice up. So twice up from that, we start with the ruler on its edge at the 5 inches mark, and we come in. Okay. And we're going to do the same up at the top here. Right. Where is my straight edge is up in the attic studio. I need to get a second straight edge because this ruler here is not quite long enough. So what am I going to do? I'm going to have to add an additional mark. I know. Gemma, you don't get no loving, do you? Look at how dirty your paws are today. What have you been doing? Oh, that's right. We had massive thunderstorms yet again because planet Earth is under attack. And it's bad enough we have to deal with crappy humans. But now we just have daily batshit weather. So the porch got a little wet. And I'm sure Gemma was traipsing around out there after the storms passed. So yes, the bookmark, since this paper is 12 by 18, I automatically know that a 2-inch by 9-inch bookmark twice up is going to be exactly the length of this whole thing. And the width of 4 inches. It's math, people. It is math, and you cannot escape math. It is one of the few things that's universal in the entire stinking universe. I don't care if you speak Mandarin or Swahili or hillbilly poor English with a side of redneck. It doesn't matter. Math is math for all those flavors. Look at that. Now I'm thinking smart. I got a little bow going on with this ruler because the back finally peeled off after 30 years of North Carolina humidity. I can clean this bookmark up in Photoshop or Procreate, so I'm not like uber concerned about all my lines being perfect, although that one is pretty darn close. Wow. Okay, let's not get too excited here. So if I go a little bit wider than my width, then that would give me the margin of error to crop it to exactly what I need it to be. Does that make sense? Anybody paying attention? Of the supposedly 8 billion people on Earth that aren't me. That's a lot of people not to be me. I mean, I'm the only me that I know thus far, although the Mandela effect makes me question a lot of things. Because I know there's a me that actually read Berenstain Bear books, not Berenstain Bear books. Okay, let's not get into that. So what I'm thinking about that old Kilroy was here thing, which has been, going around since World War II, I believe. Maybe it was even World War I that Kilroy was here. First became a phenomenon. But yeah, so Kilroy. And why does nothing ever work anymore? So I just sharpened this pencil and the point looks okay, yet it's not making a mark. I had another batch of blue pencils that were better, that were barrel prism color pencils. Ah, there she is. See this? No, I'm sorry. It's Kozan. It's the prism color pencils that suck ass now. See, I grew up with these, and they were decent. Now, forget about it. These are the non-photo repro blue, and I'm not getting a dime for saying this, but Cezanne, that's what it says, not Kozan. I'm just, forgive me for being a tard. Cezanne, non-photo repro blue. Much more reliable. You actually get a mark with these, okay? And the best part is they do in fact erase when you're requiring it to be erased. So that's like a huge plus, because this red Carpenter pencil, it was a struggle. Couldn't get it to erase. All right, so what am I doing here? We're doing a bookmark. We have no idea what we're doing, but it just hit me that that great sort of ubiquitous cartoon character from the war eras in the 20th century. So what does an ant look like? What is an ant? An ant is kind of like ants have that weird sort of yeah, sort of like that. Yeah. One thing you want to do when you're doing something like a bookmark or something that's like some kind of marketing thing is like so far, all I've done is a bunch of slop work. I'm just a hack. I'll be the first to admit it. So I don't do great work. I mean, on my best work is just good at best. And I'm aware of that. But I know how to churn stuff out and just kind of keep the ball rolling. Forward motion like a shark or a shark that's in your shorts. Anyway, this looking like the yellow kid, that Olcott character that. Okay, so. I'll do a couple of these bookmarks and then pick the one that I think is the best suited. So tonight I'm just kind of breaking in the idea of a bookmark. This may or may not end up being the final concept. I mean, if I've got to play around and Procreate and rework it and add some special effects. One thing I do like about digital comic art is there are now all these vintage retro packs you can buy, so that you can give that antiquated look to a piece of artwork and make it look like it's an actual comic book from the 1950s or 60s, with the Band-Aid dots and everything. Hey, Munchkin, what you doing, girl? What? That was a big meow for a little girl. Munch. I hope I've got the proper. Come on, Munchkin, come on over, see me. I hope I've got the proper setting on my iPad. I didn't bother to check to see if it was going to pick up this blue. it might not start picking up anything until I get to the inking phase. Well, looks like it's going to be a struggle with lettering again. Something I used to be really good at, but now my spatial awareness has shifted. Must be another Mandela effect. Ever since they changed the spelling of Chick-fil-A, I haven't been the same. Huh. Okay. No more Mandela effect jokes tonight. Okay, peoples. And I'm missing, I refuse to use green. I refuse to use purple. I'm missing my favoritist, my most favoritist white rubber eraser because Gemma decided to smack it off the board last night. And then she went and played around with it. And now I have no idea where it is. And I just refuse to bend over in this neighborhood. It's very dangerous. Anything can happen when your back is turned. All right, getting the spatial a little bit better now. I had to shift the A and the M to the left, to the left, to the left, right, left. Still didn't get the R in there the way I wanted, but we'll see what I can do. Well, there she is. My little saboteur, who's going to mess me up. And she's going to be so proud when she does it with her tail swishing. I see that tail swish. Don't you give me that. Hmm? I think right here at the bottom, I'm going to have the YouTube logo symbol, ping, P-I-N-G. So I don't have to do anything there, but Gemma, you got to go, girl. I'm kicking you off. Kicking you off. I know you didn't like that, but you got to go. Gemma, no. Boy, talk about persistent. Hmm? Get out of here. Get out of here. Gemma. She doesn't like it when I give her the boot. It's like when you tell a little kid that they can't do this or can't do that. It's something that raises their level of rebelliousness. C'est la vie. Okay, so I got some scrap paper around here. So I've been buying some stuff lately at the Dollar Tree, and I will say that this pen, gel ink pen, was a major score. I like the weight. I like the build quality. $1.25. I like the ink. So far, no problems. I am superstitious, though. I probably just jinxed myself, but it seems like it was a decent investment for $1.25 to get just, that fine level of. See, I've always liked the ability to do this. If I ever want to shade a spot just by going back and forth like a seismograph, I like to have that as an option. And this pen's perfect for that. Gemma. Oh my God. You. I know. She wants a kiss. You always want a kiss. Okay, enough kisses. Scat. Are you going to stay with me? Okay. If you're going to stay, then you got to squat. Come on. You got to squat, okay? You're driving me nuts. Get out of here. Scat. Well, maybe I shouldn't have added the ants. I don't know how they're going to read when they're shrunken down even smaller. We'll see. And I was just boasting about this pen, and now one thing I didn't realize about this pen is it struggles when you're going over oil-based, and that's what the non-photo blue pencil is. See, that's why artists are superstitious. See? Exactly why. I've worked on drawings before where you're right at the finish line, you know, you're just about to finish this piece. And then a major catastrophe happens where a bottle of ink gets knocked over, or you drop a brush that's got a full load of ink on it, and it splats and splatters, and it doesn't mean that the work is completely ruined, but it's like, damn, so close to having, you know, something that was halfway decent. And you got to wonder, do we sabotage ourselves on a subconscious level? I think we do sometimes. Don't try to. But there's also a part of every human that snaps back to being a loser. Like maybe you had a period of your existence where you were just a loser, and you fought your way out of that paper bag, and now you're doing better in life or whatever. You've changed your perspective on things, and you're no longer a drunkard or a drug addict, you know. And then even though you've moved on, you can sometimes be haunted by that old mindset. When you're in a moment, you're having a moment. So who was Kilroy? That's something we're gonna have to Google. The original Kilroy. Who was Kilroy? Yeah, the ants, they got to go. I don't know what I was thinking. They either got to go or I got to redraw them or do something besides ants. Although, as far as insects go, I think ants are the better choice. A ladybug wouldn't work, really. One thing I like about bricks is if you've actually worked with bricks, as an electrician, I often have to use concrete anchors in bricks or bore holes with hammer drills through bricks. Is that each brick, like each human, is unique. Even though from a distance they all look the same, perfectly uniform. So I guess what I'm getting at is they're the perfect thing to draw because there's such a room for margin of error that you really can't mess them up. They're the perfect thing for lazy artists to draw. That's my point. Little chunks and little nooks and crannies and little divots and chips and cracks. I can add some of that when I do the color. I'll add certain cracks and color. I might be able to Photoshop these ants out and put real ants in, or maybe some artificial intelligence ants. It was a monstrous lack of foresight that I didn't do a little research before sitting down here. Of course, the idea to use ants hadn't actually entered my mind, so I feel sad for artists who grew up in the 21st century and all they've ever known is digital. They haven't experienced the thrill, the agony, the tension, the suspense of working on something where at any given moment you could screw the whole thing up, because it's kind of like live music, right? There's feedback, there's missed cues, things unintentionally played out of key, out of harmony, out of sync. And so with quote unquote real artwork, whatever the heck that means, you're dealing with anything goes, right? My nightly thread is Gemma, of course, the cat, but I can also very quickly become my own worst enemy at the drop of a hat. I'm not wearing a hat tonight. I dropped it, but I dropped it in the right place, which was not anywhere near me while I'm working on this drawing. So, man, hey, I'm in the clear, man. I already dropped the hat, man. Nobody knows. Nobody knows but Jesus. Yeah, I regret that as a kid I didn't have the patience to stick around for piano lessons. Because now that I'm older, I have a deep appreciation for musicians, anyone who can play an instrument, especially those who can play an instrument and sing at the same time. I mean, that guitarists, it's like, what? How do they do that? They're like able to compartmentalize. They're functioning, and I'm pretty good at multitasking when it comes to certain kinds of things, but that's like multitasking to the next level, where you can play an instrument. That's something your body's doing on autopilot, right? But you still have to be conscious at some level, right? So you're conscious, muscle memory on autopilot, but then you can still, some other part of you has the ability to then sing and vocalize while your hands are busy doing what it's got to do to play the guitar, the mandolin, the violin, the piano, the whatever, tuba. Are there any tuba players that sing? I have no idea. But I would pay to see that right now. $3. I've got a $3 bill that I set aside years ago. I think I got it at a gay pride parade in Savannah. Don't ask me how I got there. Hey, you. Wondered where you was. What were you up to? Huh? I know you were up to no good, Gemma. I know you was up to no good. Hmm? So yeah, with the Procreate coloring, I can make these bricks pop a little bit. And add some more distressing, and I think for up here, but behind the head of Kilroy, we'll just do like blue sky with fluffy white clouds as if it was painted. And this is just one side of a two-sided. Allergy season here in North Carolina. I've noticed I don't normally have like super bad allergic reactions, but it's definitely been a snotty week since I've gotten back from my travels. Just kind of all blocked up. Whoops, messed that up. One thing that I'm not crazy about when it comes to coloring, well, there's a pro and a con, I guess, but you got to close all your lines so that when you use like paint bucket, your lines are closed so that the fill will occur without bleeding into an area where you don't want the colors. What I'll do to sort of cover up some of these mistakes that I'm making in this area here is I'll just make the bricks, the red for the bricks darker. That'll make the letters jump off a little bit better. Dang it. Oh, well. Plenty of mistakes to fix. Uh-oh. We don't live in a perfect world, that's for sure. GAG Master. Yeah, those ants. Ugh. I mean, I'll just have to redo this or rework it in Procreate to the point where it's usable. This area down here that I'm fussing around with now might end up being all black anyway. If I drop in that YouTube logo. And then maybe on the brick, Kilroy was here with an arrow pointing down to Gag Master cartoons. Yeah, that's one thing I do like about color, although I'm not a color person, is that you can definitely add another layer to something. Put in something that isn't in the black and white art to accentuate or diminish. Color can also move your eye to a certain spot away from an area, which I think is interesting. And then I guess with colorblind people, that's all either irrelevant or just registers as some gray tone. I mean, I guess you could argue and question my decision-making process. I certainly do. About, well, why didn't you just do a brick wall and then do this part, GAG Master Cartoons, straight up using a font in Procreate or Photoshop? Well, because then it's not as personalized. And I like to letter, even though I've been off kilter lately with my lettering. I like to do this stuff. I like mastheads and logos. That help differentiate one comic book or magazine title from another. Along with the cover art, the logo was one of the things back in the old days that really helped to sell a book. You know, a couple comic book companies hit them out of the park with specific logos that have remained relatively unchanged for the better part of 80 years now. Titles like Action Comics and Superman, you know, they've undergone very few logo changes, an occasional update, but it never to the point where the logo is unrecognizable from what it was previously. Slight alterations. So on the back side, which I'll do later, or I might do straight in Procreate, there will be a couple of QR codes. One for the actual GAG Master Cartoons YouTube channel. And then another one for the playlist, because I do have other content on GAG Master Cartoons besides the GAG Master challenges. I have done some Fredonia stuff, and I've got some Inktober uploads where I've compiled their compilations. I might individually start uploading the 4K, because when I uploaded the compilations, they would have been huge file sizes. So I uploaded them in 720 DVD aspect ratio quality. But I may very well have to upload them individually in 4K just so viewers can see in high definition some of the brush strokes, because most of my Inktober drawings were done with predominantly in brushwork, dipping nice fine horsehair brushes. Took me long enough to chase those horses around that field to make those brushes, so it wasn't for naught. But if it was, then it would be a forget-me-not. All right, enough with the bad humors and puns. If I dated a girl, her name would be Rapunzel. That joke is repugnant, by the way. All right, so this is the GAG Master Bookmark V1. Whether it's usable or not, I don't know. I'm going to have to let it sit. I'm also going to have to let it be colored. And that's just one side. I might do another GAG Master bookmark that's like long, some kind of long panoramic view of something or other. And that might be fun. For now, it's time to watch some NCAA basketball. So I will be signing off and come back later to do another bookmark and or two bookmarks side on the same sheet of paper, because this one here is less than perfect.